Come on!
Yes, Mr. Grant.
Another one of your great parties, I see.
Rhoda! You do like me, don't you?
Guess what I've been asked to do for the newspapers? Deliver them?
Hi.
If you were a souffle, you'd rise high in the pan.
But right now, I think I'm going to have a baby.
Good evening, and welcome to the Mary Tyler Moore Show reunion. And reunion really is the only word for it, because that's what families do. And the gang's all here. Lou, Rhoda, Murray, Sue Ann, Phyllis, and Georgette. Over the course of this show, I'm going to have some private time with each of them. And we'll have a chance to reminisce about the 7 seasons we spent together as friends and colleagues. 25 years have passed since CBS aired our final program, episode number 168. It all started when a single woman named Mary Richards moved to Minneapolis in search of a new self, a new life, new job, which she found in the newsroom at WJM-TV. People used words like groundbreaking. I just remember it as a whole lot of fun. Because we consider you a part of the family, too, we're going to ask you to reminisce along with us by logging on to CBS.com and voting for your favorite episode. I'll reveal the #1 show at the end of tonight's program. So, let's turn back the clock to a time, believe it or not, when a newsroom didn't have a computer, much less the internet. But the laughs and the memories are timeless.
Do you have any idea when Mr. Grant will be back?
Hi, Mr. Grant.
You're back.
Let's talk about the first time that we did the whole show in front of a studio audience and on tape. It wasn't to be filmed. It was just on tape so that we could see what we had.
The audience, during that Tuesday night run-through, did not laugh at the scene where I hire you. That if that scene didn't get laughs, then we were in the dumper.
What religion are you?
Mr. Grant, I don't quite know how to say this, but you're not allowed to ask that when someone's applying for a job. It's against the law.
Want to call a cop?
No.
Good. Would you think I was violating your civil rights if I asked if you're married?
Presbyterian.
And we did get every bit of juice out of that scene that you and I played, the spunk scene.
It does seem that you've been asking a lot of very personal questions that don't have a thing to do with my qualifications for this job.
You know what? You got spunk.
Well,
I hate spunk.
Lou was good for those little aphorisms. I mean, he was always full of that, you know, the wonderful
he had
sage.
wisdom.
how many men is a woman allowed to have before she becomes that sort of woman?
6. How many more applicants are there?
2. The first is Doreen Skinner. Her skills are excellent, and she seems to measure up, caboose-wise.
Good. Back her in here.
Phyllis Lindstrom, this is Mr. Grant.
You mean she works here?
Yes.
Good. You're fired. I wrote a figure on this pad. Ted, I wrote 2 words on this pad.
Being a man who enjoys his libations and establishing that from the first show.
Look, miss, I was just about to have a drink, and I wouldn't mind some company. Want one?
Oh, no, thank you.
I said I wouldn't mind some company.
Well, all right. I'll have a brandy Alexander.
I guess my secret dream was always to always have this fantastic bar where I create a happy hour with music and everything, encouraging people to sing, and nobody will sing.
Come on along. Come on along. Let me take you by the hand.
And as I start to sing, and I keep looking around and trying to get people to join in, and they're not joining in. Mm-hmm. So finally, I get very ugly.
What the hell's wrong with you anyway? You just sit there like a bunch of clods. Now, we asked you nicely to sing along. Huh? Now, that's not too much, is it? To ask people to have a good time? Sit down!
It was one of the last shows. Mary decided to ask you to dinner at her place.
I think you're a terrific man, Lou Grant, and I want to go out on a date with you.
People kept wanting
They wanted to see.
And, of course, I wanted to have my shot at you, in other words.
Yes, yes.
The suspense is killing me.
Well, then, let's end the suspense.
Okay.
Hey.
I really didn't get to kiss you the way I wanted to kiss you.
I don't think they allowed that on television back then, Ed.
And they called us groundbreakers.
The Mary Tyler Moore reunion continues with more of Mary's WJM-TV family as Gavin MacLeod and Betty White remember the moment when an ailing Sue Ann needs some friendly cheering up.
Love your bedroom, Sue Ann. Did you decorate it yourself? Did you have a sex maniac come in?
The Mary Tyler Moore Reunion. Sponsored by Hallmark. Send a Hallmark. They'll never forget you remembered.
I go in there, and I take the news out of that doohickey. And then I rewrite it on this doohickey. And then I turn on that doohickey and watch it come out of that doohickey.
I got a call from my agent. He says, Mary Tyler Moore is doing a pilot, and would you like to be submitted and so forth? And I said, are you kidding? Of course. And I said, Lou Grant is a fabulous part, but I like this other guy.
Yeah.
This other guy had a line when Texter entered. Ah, the Mastroianni of Minneapolis.
Hi, fellas. Here he is, the Marcello Mastroianni of Minneapolis newscaster.
Why, thanks, Bert.
It's not a compliment. He has trouble speaking English, too.
Well, I like the little rhythm of that line, and
Sure.
it told me a little bit about the character and so forth. And so,
But I want to know, what did they tell you about the character? Because I was told that they originally conceived your character to be my nemesis, that we were going to be at each other's throats.
didn't know anything about
You
that.
didn't. But
Well,
there was
that
no
didn't
way that could have
happen.
happened.
No,
because...
What Murray became, who exemplified the brown bagger. That's where I got all
yeah.
my mail from, these guys that did all the work and never got any credit, you know?
All right. I'm sorry, Sue Ann. Forgive me. You were absolutely right. Let's sit down.
The heart that your character showed, or that you as the actor brought to it, was remarkable to see the character of Murray, who was great with the quips and the
He was fast.
one-liners.
Lou, let's talk man to man.
I think they're one short.
Marie, did you see the spread on Sue Ann?
Oh, yeah. But you don't notice it so much when she sits down.
I wanted to be a journalist once. My student days, I was always on the paper.
Where was that, Ted? Obedient school?
$20 be enough?
Oh, $20 would be fine.
I bet you say that to all the guys.
You know, it's a funny thing. I've been doing the news for 8 years now, and I still feel as nervous and as petrified as I was opening night. Of course, I'm perfect once I'm on. Right before I feel a little sick to my stomach.
That's funny. I don't feel that way till after you're on the air.
Chuckles Bites the Clown just seemed to tap Murray.
No, he didn't bite the clown.
He didn't
Chuckles bites
the dust.
Dust.
Yeah. But anyway, the show was so good for Murray because it gave Murray a chance to come out of that little kind of shell he was on and have that acerbic wit to think of all these funny things about death.
After all, the guy died wearing a peanut suit, killed by an elephant.
Yeah. Born in a trunk, died in a trunk.
Just forget what he was wearing. Suppose he hadn't been dressed as a peanut. Would his death still be funny?
Could have been worse. He could have gone as Billy Banana and had a gorilla peel him to death.
I wonder which ones are the other clowns.
You'll know soon. They're all gonna jump out of a little hearse.
And the payoff was so incredible with Mary in the funeral parlor, and then you finally breaking down because we finally got a control of ourselves. Everybody knows this show probably better than I do.
Chuckles the Clown brought pleasure to millions. The characters he created will be remembered by children and adults alike. My particular favorite, Aunt Yoo-Hoo. And not just for the laughter that they provided. There was always some deeper meaning to whatever Chuckles did.
Mary starts going, and he said, oh, Chuckles would be so happy to think that, you know, you're remembering him with laughter and all this to justify. Mary was so brilliant in that scene. Come on, man.
You feel like laughing, don't you? Don't try to hold it back. Go ahead, laugh out loud. Don't you see, nothing would have made Chuckles happier. He lived to make people laugh. So go ahead, my dear. Laugh for Chuckles.
You give so much of your soul when you fell in love with me or were willing to admit that you had got something that was going on and dealing with it.
How could you not be in love with Mary? My voice was the voice for millions of people in this country, you know, and I had a chance. Come on. I had the chance. Love is all around. I had the chance to voice what anybody who could see or breathe or who had a heart would feel about you.
Remember the beginning of this week when you asked me what it was? I wanted to tell you, and I told you I couldn't tell you here.
Yes, Mur?
Well, I want to tell you now what I wanted to tell you.
Yes, Mur?
Mary, I love you.
And I love you, too.
I tell you, Sue Ann Nivens, she was just a joy for me because of what Betty White brought to this character. You know, I just think she's in a place by herself.
Yep.
That's why I'm not going to say one word about that cruddy wallpaper in the men's room.
Did you crash the men's room?
Of course not. I went as somebody's guest.
We were talking about finding an actress to play a character that they had developed, and they kept saying to me, this is such a great character because she's a kind of a Betty White and yet evil.
They were looking for somebody so sickeningly sweet, and they couldn't find anybody that sickening. They went through all these actresses. So why don't you just get Betty? It's a one-shot, and she's not going to do you all that harm. So that was a turning point in my life.
This is your happy homemaker reminding you that a woman who does a good job in the kitchen is sure to reap her rewards in other parts of the house.
You know why Sue Ann worked? Because she hit Mary funny.
Yeah.
Mary could laugh at her and not be offended by her.
What did she think of Mary? You can be honest now.
Well,
it's all over. It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But Sue Ann didn't really give Mary an awful lot of thought.
Who is it? Sue Ann?
Hello, dear. I hope I'm not disturbing you.
I was in bed.
Oh, good. Then you're alone. I still remember being so nasty as Sue Ann with you and putting you down, saying terrible things to you. And you'd look at me with these big brown eyes and you'd guess everything is okay, I think.
Everyone feels in a rut from time to time. Even I do.
And if I can be bored with my life, Lord knows how you must feel about yours.
Your relationship with the characters was wonderful and so varied. I mean, with Gavin MacLeod as Murray.
He was just wonderful. And for Sue Ann's character, it was so great because I could walk by that bald head.
Yes, there you go.
After all, life is so brief and impermanent. Much like your hair.
Oh, Murray. Funny Murray. Witty Murray. Shiny Murray.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm not leaving WJM. You have no idea how I'd miss you. I'd probably cry every time I looked at a melon.
Is Lou in?
Yeah, he is. What are you doing?
Just checking my lipstick, dear.
And your relationship with Lou, really...
that was more of a passion. That wasn't necessarily a relationship.
That's right. It was a hoping for relationship.
Well,
but
I nailed him.
Yes, that's right. You did.
Oh, Lou, I just wanted to give you your socks back.
Who is it?
It's opportunity knocking again.
You're gonna whip Lou Grant?
Ooh, need any help?
Sue Ann,
Yes, Lou.
could you do me a favor?
Well, maybe on my lunch hour.
You, my dear, must have a favorite episode.
I think it would have to be the bed in the bedroom.
Yes.
That one, I think, probably. Sue Ann got a little ill, so I took to my bed, and you all came to visit me.
Sue Ann.
Is it Lou?
Yes, it's me, Sue Ann.
Come sit beside me.
I always remember Ted walked in.
Have you been, Ted?
Oh, swell, Sue Ann.
One of my favorite moments in the whole show.
What a great bedroom, Sue Ann.
But you tore me up. At the end of the show, Mary just had to come back.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, that was
It was
beautiful.
wonderful to see the innocents lying on the bed.
Don't forget to log on to CBS.com and vote for your favorite Mary Tyler Moore episode. When we return, Mary is joined by girlfriends Valerie Harper and Cloris Leachman, who remember the moment when Rhoda goes on a date with Phyllis's perfect brother.
Hi, sis. Oh, Mary Richards.
Oh, hello. Get out of my apartment.
Oh, I loved the characters so much, and the wonderful thing was that with all of us, I think the writers followed what our strengths were.
All right, I want you to just look in the mirror. Forget your Rhoda, who does a lot of put-downs about herself, and just look at yourself like a stranger.
Hi, new in town?
Will you cut it out?
He was so recognizable to everybody. You didn't have to be Jewish. You didn't have to be overweight.
How can you gorge yourself like that and stay so skinny? I'm going crazy with hunger.
Well, eat something.
I can't. I gotta lose 10 pounds by 8:30.
Your friend and mine, Cloris Leachman, and a doll, said, "Good God, Val, your behind is massive." And I said, "Yes, it is."
Mary, you look so slim and trim. Oh, and Rhoda.
And about that time, Val, wasn't it true that you started losing weight?
Hey, you look different. You know, really good. I like it. Yeah. I like it back here, too.
She also had troubles. She was constantly battling her weight.
Yeah.
And, you know, not making out with the right guys in her life.
You know how it is when you're dating somebody?
No.
Well, well, well. Aren't we pretty?
You mean me or both of us?
I hit a guy with my... Was it that I hit a guy with my car?
Yes.
No, or
yes.
something.
Right.
I said, we've got to meet some men. We're 30. We've got to meet men.
You don't know this man outside of hitting him with your car?
No, and I know you're gonna think I'm kidding, but you can really get close to someone fast when you hit him with a car.
I invited him to dinner.
Right.
And he came with his wife.
Rhoda Morgenstern.
Oh, Howard Arnell. How do you do?
And this is my date, Mr. and Mrs. Armington.
But she kept her shoulder to the wheel.
Yeah.
And she kept on going.
Hi. Hiya, Ben. Why don't you sit down? He married?
Phyllis's brother came to town, and he was this charming, fabulous guy.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Phyllis is Ben?
It's funny. Phyllis never mentioned you to me.
Yeah, funny.
Ben and Rhoda took off, a relationship made in heaven, but Phyllis was dying.
She's worried sick about him and Rhoda. She wanted to talk to me about it. I don't want to.
Phyllis comes over to me and says, well, I guess you and Ben are getting very serious, and if you marry him, I'll have to deal with it. And I said, I'm not going to marry Ben.
He's not my type. What do you mean, he's not your type? He is witty. He is attractive. He's successful. He's single. He's gay.
The audience went crazy. They laughed
5 minutes.
so long in surprise.
He's what? He's gay. I thought sure you know, Phil. We're not getting married. Oh, Rhoda, I'm so relieved.
A friend of mine once said about the three of us that Mary is who you wanted to be, Rhoda was who you probably are, and Phyllis was who you were afraid you'd become.
Hi, Mary. Hi. I just came up to bring back the ice cubes I borrowed. I didn't need them after all.
The genius moments that came from your character came from your soul, your mind, your sense of humor.
Phyllis, I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah?
Phyllis was a neurotic, but to me, it was as if I were the Ladies' Home Journal perfect woman.
I just hope that you and Sharon will be as happy in your marriage as Lars is in mine.
You really liked me.
Oh, I always
liked me a little bit more than Rhoda.
You were of a higher moral.
Yes.
And in terms of taste.
Hey, I'll loan you something. Mary, if you can borrow a dress from me.
Oh, thank you. You are both so thoughtful.
Yes, Rhoda, that's very thoughtful of you, dear, but Mary and I have the same taste. Good.
You notice any strange people around here today?
Just the usual.
I am not going to send her to a motel.
A motel? Who said motel? Though, heaven knows it wouldn't be a first for her.
One story,
Rhoda has lost her job. She's been fired or something, and she's hanging around, and I can't stand it. She's driving me crazy, and she's so lazy and just a lout.
We have to shake her up. We have to slap some sense into her. Rhoda! Rhoda!
I'm ready for lunch. All set. Bye, Ted. See you guys in an hour. Come on, Phyllis.
Of course, Lars.
Lars? What about Lars?
Well, I've been sitting here trying to think of who it is that's been playing around with Sue Ann Nivens, and it finally came to me. And it is definitely not Lars. No.
Betty's character came on and apparently had a little affair with my husband.
I'll come right to the point. I'm here to talk about you, and Mary's here to see to it that I don't rip your face off. Phyllis!
So I fix her wagon.
I think what we have to talk about is more important than your chocolate souffle. I'm sorry, but this is a very critical time. Well, I'm sorry. This is a very critical time for me, too. Oh, my poor baby.
The Mary Tyler Moore reunion will continue with Georgia Engel, who joins Mary and friends in a tribute to the late Ted Knight, and remembers the moment when Georgia and Ted have Mary host their impromptu wedding.
What would you do if I told you there's going to be a minister over here with all our friends in the next half hour to have a wedding?
Vacuum.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Georgette.
What about my teddy bear? I'm so proud of him I can bust my buttons. Well, actually, this dress doesn't have any buttons. It has 2 snaps and a zipper up the back. But I'm so proud I could bust 2 snaps and a zipper up the back. Sounds stupid, so I said buttons. Sue me. I always felt that Mary Richards was so important to the development of Georgette as a human being. Because Georgette could never figure out how you could like her so much.
Oh.
Georgette admired Mary so much, and Mary took Georgette under her wing. Mary, I really need help.
What's on your mind?
It's not going to be easy, Mary.
Georgette, what is it?
It's something I can't discuss.
Well, Georgette, if you can't discuss it, then how can I help you?
I told you it wasn't going to be easy.
Rhoda and I were observing how much Ted used you, that he wasn't giving you a fair shake in the relationship.
Look, about you and Ted.
I know what you think about Ted, Mary.
No, we're not talking about Ted now. We're mad at you, Georgette, for what you're doing.
Then I won't do it anymore. What am I doing? You lifted up her sense of
pride, of self-respect.
Yeah. And I like to think I'm a nice person.
Just nice?
Very nice. Damn nice.
Your presence there with this incredible sensitivity that you had, I think really helped us get Ted Knight into another dimension. You were the one who brought out his soul and his feelings.
You never told me you loved me.
Well, that's not an easy thing for me to say.
Why?
Well, because when I said it before to people, no one ever said it back.
I'll say it back.
You will?
I promise.
Okay. I love you.
And I love you, Ted.
You do.
Ted would almost
He'd come close, yes.
But then he'd chicken out. Ted, if you really wanted to marry me, you wouldn't talk about it, you'd do it.
Oh, I'd do it right now if we could.
We can, Ted. We've had the blood test. We have the license, and it's still valid. We can call and get a minister over here. We can call our friends and tell them to come over here. What else do we need? So what do you say, Buster? You still want to get married? I do remember a wonderful question when Mary asked Georgette, are you really sure you want to marry
Ted?
You do love him, then?
Of course, Mary. Somebody has to. She must have seen something so wonderful in him that wasn't readily apparent by his outward behaviors.
Yes, right. Do you remember who your minister was?
John Ritter.
Yes.
I'm Reverend Chatfield. I came as soon as I got here.
And he was there in his tennis shorts with his racket directing the wedding.
Bride on my backhand, groom on my forehand. Would you like to say something?
You mean wing it?
Just say what's in your heart, Ted.
Oh, right. Mary? Georgette, I promise to be a devoted husband and to never give you cause to regret having married such a cluck.
You contributed so much to Ted's maturity as a character, and probably as a human being, too. I loved that man. I loved him so much.
It all started in a 5,000-watt radio station in Fresno, California.
Ted Knight was one of the greatest dramatic actors I have ever seen in my life.
I agree with you.
He was so indelible on the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Yes.
He never could get another dramatic part.
Lou, I want to call a meeting of the entire staff. Out here.
I never see people with Kleenex in their collar now that I don't think of Ted because they wanted everybody to know he was in show business.
Give me that list of words that Baxter mispronounced on last night's show.
Check the top one, Lou.
The top one. Chicago. Come on, fellas. And take that makeup bib off.
Last night he wore it halfway through the show.
I would describe Ted Baxter as the kind of newscaster which seems, even at that time, to have proliferated the airwaves.
With?
Stupidity.
So all you pink-nosed little snow bunnies. Mary, can you see him during the news? Read it. All right.
Out loud!
So Ann tells us you're from Dixie.
That's right.
My wife and I use your cups a lot.
You want to see what I do to stop Georgette from crying? Oh, no, that's for hiccups.
Ted was always the most blatant in his feelings. They were just right out there. There was no question
Oh,
about
he
it.
developed such a wonderful character.
Come on in, Lou. Great news.
What is it now, Ted?
Oh, Lou. How come every time I come to you to say something, you say, what is it now, Ted? Like I'm going to say something dumb.
How come every time I see a duck, I expect it to quack?
No, you answer my question first.
Ted was so brilliant as Ted Baxter, and I always wished he enjoyed it more because he was always afraid people would confuse Ted Knight with Ted Baxter.
Well, sure.
They asked me what my name was and what I did.
And what'd you tell them?
I told them I was the best darn newsman in all of America.
You didn't.
I had to. I was under oath.
Whenever I would go out of town and visit stations, people could not wait if they didn't introduce me to their anchorman as their Ted Baxter.
Yeah.
The anchorman wanted to come forward and introduce himself as Ted Baxter.
I never thought I'd be saying this. Ted Baxter, Walter Cronkite.
It's an honor to meet you, Mr. Cronkite.
Call me Walter.
Walt, let's talk shop. Say,
What words do you have trouble pronouncing?
During rehearsal, he said something, and then as Ted Knight, he said something else, and he looked at me. He said, the metamorphosis is complete.
Good news and good night.
The Mary Tyler Moore reunion returns with the whole gang, who remember moments from the unforgettable final episode.
Being fired is like being violated.
Leave it to Murray to find a bright spot.
The Mary Tyler Moore Reunion, sponsored by Crest White Strips. Noticeably whiter teeth in 14 days. Guaranteed.
The owner's been asking about you, about how important you are to the station.
What'd you tell him, Lou?
He told him to watch you do the news and decide for himself.
Oh, my God!
Regarding the last episode, I remember the last month before the last episode and how it really was beginning to affect us all, this separation anxiety that we had.
Do you know what bothers me? Here you are, the people I work with, my best friends. You're all of you losing your jobs, and I'm keeping mine, and I don't feel that bad.
I was so sad that whole last year because it was a family. It really was a family. When you look back now, it's even more precious than it was
at the
then.
time.
Now that it's over, I don't feel as bad as I thought I was going to. In fact, I feel pretty good. I really do. And I owe it all to you. Thanks.
What's the matter? You got ice water in your veins?
What was coming out of my mouth when I said, I cherish you people?
Yes.
I could never have been more sincere, or have been, or will be in my life.
I treasure you people.
Even the writers couldn't handle the end of the show, so they didn't write the last scene till the end.
That's right.
So we all were there clinging to each other in a big hug, and we were literally crying. I mean, everybody was just a mess.
What I remember on that actual night when we were doing the hug, these great big men were bawling. They were crying for real.
Yeah.
I think we all need some Kleenex.
There's some on Mary's desk.
It was the end of a very special time of our lives. And we were chosen to have had that show. And to have experienced what we experienced together.
What is a family, anyway? They're just people who make you feel less alone and really loved. And that's what you've done for me. Thank you for being my family.
I find myself resenting the people, and I shouldn't do that. Forgive me, but the ones who have done many, many, many shows since our show was on the air, who say, well, our show is a family. And there's part of me that says, no, you don't know.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly. Farewell, Leicester Square.
One more moment to remember. Your choice for the favorite Mary Tyler Moore episode of all time.
And my heart's right there.
The votes are in. They've all been tallied. Not even I know what the #1 episode is. Until now.
What did Chuckles ask in return? Not much. In his own words, a little song, a little seltzer down your throat.
I want to tell you, I'm going to cry, I'm not going to tell you. But I'll just say, to be in her presence 5 days a week for 7 years was the pinnacle of my creative life. Even though Murray was not huge, Murray had a chance to be with her all this time.
And you set the tone of it being so warm and welcoming, and you made it a family.
Oh,
and your generosity for seeing that everyone was taken care of.
And it was the most important thing that I ever had happen. I mean, it just made a career for me. It was a major thrill and very important to me.
I'd walk down the street in New York all through these years, or anywhere in the world, and somebody says, "Hi, Phyllis," or they'll say some line, or and you know that it's part of their lives. And
that you touched them.
It connects you in some way with everybody.
You have been such a major part of my life, my dear friend, that it's one of those friendships that is in a unique niche all by itself. It doesn't relate to any other friendship in the world. It's just you.
Thank you.
I have never had such a feeder to work with, to bring me out of the worst of myself into the best of myself.
Yes.
And that feeder is you.
It was suggested to me that I be gracious and fine with the decision that we were all going to go on to other activities. And I knew intellectually that it was probably a good idea for me to stop doing this and try other things too. But I did not want that show to end.
So make it one for my baby and one more for the road.
Sing it out.
That long, long
The happy ending tonight is that there seems to be no ending for this show. What a great gift we've given each other, huh? 7 wonderful years that are as alive today as when they were created. You've welcomed us into your living rooms and your hearts, reminding us quite simply that love is all around. Good night.
More plays a meddler who is full of mirth. More is part Lucy and part Mary Worth. More gets those close-up shots galore, is the one that fans adore, 'cause the show is owned by Moore.
That's all, folks.